This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
You're joking.
Well, let's get back to it.
Well, that sporting story is better than anything I've got. It was a hosiery catastrophe. Meanwhile, weather-wise, the mercury hit a daily UK high of 17 degrees centigrade in London this week, which is well above average, with the normal March high for London being 12 centigrade. It was also wet. It was hot and wet like an athlete's gusset.
Disgusting.
Parts of Scotland saw 60 millimetres of rain on one day this week, which I will translate from European surrender measurements to His Majesty's feet and inches. It's perfectly simple. An idiot could do it. You get from millimetres to feet, you simply double it and add 32. So 60 millimetres, it's double 60 is 140. 140 plus 32 is 182. Blimey. They had 182 feet of rain in Scotland this week. Can you believe that?
Yes.
Conditions will cool and get more settled on Saturday with a widespread frost in the north, but then milder and unsettled again on Saturday afternoon. Apparently March has been very, very wet so far. North Wales getting around half a month's rain in just 24 hours. And pretty wet you-know-where, I bet, as well, which I can check on while you wait. Aha! Just as I suspected. It might not be raining in Glasgow at the moment, but it certainly will be raining on Saturday, and it'll be raining on Sunday, and it'll be raining on Monday, and it'll be raining on Tuesday, and raining on Wednesday, and raining on Thursday, and raining on Friday, and raining on... every single day for the rest of your lives. Oh, well, never mind. What do you expect? Hey, would you like to hear the long-range forecast for the next 4 weeks?
No.
OK, from now until the end of the month. At first, drier interludes in the north, apart from you-know-where. More rain in the south, becoming more settled by the end of the first week, the first week of the next 2 weeks. Is any of this making sense yet?
No.
The first week of the next 2 weeks, it will end generally windy. Windy. Light to moderate. And then, first 2 weeks in April. Blimey, it's April already. It's practically Jesus' birthday. Where's the year going? The highest rainfall, first couple of weeks in April, the highest rainfall most likely to be in the south of the UK, mostly. Northern areas will tend to be drier compared to normal, which seems unusual. And temperatures will probably be near or slightly above average. Temperatures will probably be near or slightly above average? We'll take it. Texts and tweets and such, and they're already pouring in. They're pouring in like like sewage from an outlet that leads right into Lake Windermere. What kind of country is this? But anyway, they're coming in vast amounts already. I've got like 5 pages of them. I haven't even started yet. Dave says, can you help poor Lee Anderson? He's got his country back from the evil EU in 2016, but he's lost it again. That's right. Yeah, you want your country back, Lee Anderson. Well, where did you leave it? Is it with your keys? Shall we start there? Lee Anderthal returned to his Ashfield constituency as the first Reform UK MP, got off to a slightly less than triumphant start today as he was heckled in a town centre and met by just a small group of supporters. Isn't that sad? The former Tory party deputy chairman took part in an open-top bus parade of his seat in Nottinghamshire after defecting to the party set up by Nigel Farage.
We've got a few idiots in our party.
I love that open-top bus parade description, by the way, in the Mail. I mean, it brings to mind the FA Cup celebrations of old. Streets thronged with hundreds of thousands of people. Well, the quite extensive collection of photographs of the event that I saw showed not hundreds of thousands, not thousands, not hundreds, not even tens of people. What do you call it when there are less than 10 people? Ones? Lee Anderthal had a crowd of literally ones of people. And he leapt aboard that bus to cruise through deserted streets with his new boss, Richard Tice, the man that Neanderthal described as a pound shop Nigel Farage.
I'm a nutcase.
If Tice is a pound shop Nigel Farage, what does that make Nigel Farage? The 99p store Richard Tice? And the comedy just kept on coming because they called the place that sent none of its people out to greet them as the capital of common sense. You know, the common sense of the type is, well, everybody agrees with me that I talk to, rather forgetting the point about you only talk to people who agree with you. And the most vocal of the residents of the capital of common sense called him a very bad word of 2 syllables beginning with W.
Disgusting.
You believe that? So maybe common sense is common there after all. And how is Neanderthal going to appeal to the locals? Those that unaccountably failed to turn up for his open-top bus parade down empty streets? By thinking, of course, what would Donald Trump say? Anderson actually said, I want my country back.
What?
Yeah, that's what he said. I want my country back. He said, successive governments have tried to give our country away over the years. I want it back. I love this country and I love you a lot, he said to the crowd of people who had not turned up. It's the sort of phrase that sounds like it's coming from a deflating balloon. The gaseous sound of escaping hot air. I want my country back. Is that all you've got? Well, we want our money back. Us poor dopes who pay his wages. Only for him to lurch about throwing celebrations for himself and acting the goat on television. I want my country back. Carol texts, Michael Gove outlined the Tory government's revised definition of extremism. They should put themselves at the top of their list while they're at it. Add Tory donors, says Carol. Which almost makes sense in the English language, but not quite. Meanwhile, Caroline texts, why has Sunak, with his zombie government, ruled out May for the next general election? They've given up governing and spent far too much time trying to set traps for Labour. James Heapy is the latest of 60 Tory MPs standing down. No fight left for the next general election. They're dropping like flies. Time's up, says Caroline. The people have spoken. And yet they just shuffle on, don't they? Pretending that they can't hear any of the sounds around them. No! Say the crowd. The ones that actually could be bothered to show up. It's just, I don't know, am I hallucinating or is this real life? God, wouldn't it be marvellous if this was an hallucination? Right off the bat, Merthyr Tydfil. Hello, Jeff.
Hi, Nick. Interesting week. Just to keep you in the picture, but I've got a question for you at the end. Anyway, Drakeford has claimed that the waiting lists should be, has been a result of drunks.
The waiting list for what?
In hospitals in
right.
Wales,
Mm-hmm.
down to drunks. You should remove the drunks. I know your glamorous assistant told me that one.
Well, I would imagine that a lot of the people that go to A&E of a weekend are drunk.
They definitely are.
Yes.
Right. Point 2. You remember Fosafran?
Mm-hmm.
Fosafran.
Yeah.
The coal mine, the open cast coal mine.
Yes. Vast
Right.
scar on the earth. Yeah.
It's filling up with water.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, black water, I would imagine.
Well, unfortunately, Nick, it's parked alongside a long-standing tip for the most appalling carcinogenic chemicals and everything else, and I think it's leaching out. And they're panicking a bit because now they've shut the thing, they're not pumping it out, okay? So it's filling up with God only knows what, okay? So that's point number 2.
Right.
Point number 3 is a very interesting one. You know that Drakeford, which I mentioned first of all, he's finishing, and there's 2 guys, Jeremy Miles and Vaughan Gethin. Vaughan Gethin has taken £200,000 to help him with his campaign to become First Minister. Now, the guy who gave it is a fella that's been convicted waste disposal. He's been fined 3 times for dumping heaven knows what on the Gwent Levels, which is a nature reserve on the Bristol Channel.
He's in waste management?
Absolutely.
He is, yeah. And I think his mother was on the phone saying, I don't want to hear that. I just don't want to hear that. Okay? Now, the thing is, right, my question, the big question, why, if there's a captive sort of Labour Party audience that only Labour Party members can vote, how do you spend £200,000? What do you spend it on?
Comics and sweets? I really have absolutely no idea.
Nice coat. He was on the telly tonight. He had a fabulous coat on.
Right. Well, Vladimir Putin can only spend £15,000 on a coat, so I seriously doubt you could buy a more expensive coat in Wales than that. No offence.
So those are the 3 points that I wanted to put to you
Okay,
tonight.
what's the question? Oh, that was the question at the end there.
How do you spend
200 grand? Right.
In a closed shop,
Yeah.
Labour Party organised election where they do the hustings, they do everything.
Right. How do you spend 200,000? You get Boris Johnson's wife to take charge of your redecorations?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
It'll be gone in a trice. Thanks a lot, Jeff. 0345 6060 973. He was right. It has been a busy week. Where do I even begin? Darryl says, it seems the entire cabinet are in the thrall of Frank Hester's donation of £10 million. Of 15, apparently. Darryl says, I mean, it is a hell of a lot of zeros, but enough about the cabinet. The point is, it's a lot of campaign money. That's right. Sounds very much like an old spit and image gag. I'll have... What about the vegetables? They'll have the same as me. I missed that show.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Now, wait a minute. I don't like that kind of talk. Now, just stop it. It upsets me.
Yeah, I think that's what the previous caller was going for. Stumbled around it just a little bit. Now, wait a minute. Darryl texts, it seems that the entire cabinet... No, wait a minute. No, I've read that already. Stu says 30p is just as thin-skinned as Trump.
Don't be rude.
He really does not like being laughed at. What with the fact that his mum told him to join Reform and he can't tell the difference between coal and trees as a replenishable fuel, I think he will have to get used to it, being laughed at. Between him and Bodger and Farage, you could make one Trump equivalent. Well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, if you squash them together and piled them up, they would probably weigh the same, if that's what you mean. Bury St Edmunds, Lena.
Hi.
Lena.
Hi, y'all.
Yes, Lena.
Listen, Nick, I'm first-time caller to you, but I'm a big fan.
Oh.
And I just, sorry, at the top of the show, you were doing, I'm from Glasgow, so I know all about the whole rain thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you were doing some workings out. And
Yes.
And I just wanted to know if you were a Liz Truss clone, because you added 60 and 60 and you came up with 140.
That is the correct answer. Yes, 140. I was using mental arithmetic, Lena.
Okay, very mental by the sounds of it, because as far as I'm concerned, 60 and 60 is 120 last time I looked.
No, I'm afraid not, Lena. That is your Scottish education letting you down. You're embarrassing yourself on national radio, I'm afraid.
No, I'm not. 60 and 60,
Yes.
6 and 6 is 12.
No.
120.
14, Lena. It's perfectly... It's not even as difficult as your multiplication tables. I mean, once learned, it should be never forgotten. But apparently that lesson skipped you by. Were you absent on that day?
I was absent for most of my life, basically, when I went to school.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't have it. 6 and 6 is 12.
No.
60 and 60 is 120.
Yes. Well, I'm not going to ask you where you went to school because that would just embarrass that institution. You're a disgrace to your alma mater,
Yeah.
Lena.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I consider myself sufficiently chastised. Thank you, Nick.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Lena. 0345 6060 973. Alex says, our mighty leader, Seven Silly Bins... He's getting tetchier by the day. Have you noticed? I mean, he just cannot stand being questioned, particularly by people who have got way less money than he has. And it just irks him so. That pampered, perfumed little princeling has never heard the word no. Well, get used to it.
No.
And he rocks back and forth when he's building up pressure of fury inside his minuscule frame. It's almost as though he's not a very nice person. Anyway, Alex says, our mighty leader, Seven Silly Bins, cares more about money than the safety of our MPs. I cannot say I'm surprised. After all, we're talking about a sentient wheelie bin who, on the one hand, gives a speech about extremism, but on the other takes more than £10 million from a man who hates black women and wants to shoot them. Well, apparently not. Apparently it had absolutely nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman or that she's black. But he did say that Diane Abbott makes you want to hate all black women, didn't he? Isn't that precisely what he said?
Yes.
Yeah. Why do the papers keep saying the word allegedly? I mean, he's apologised for it, hasn't he? Is he apologising for something that he might not have said? Or maybe he's apologising for something that he might say in the future, thereby sort of covering himself and saving time. I am most apologetic for anything that I may say from this moment on in my life. I would just like to make it absolutely clear that I do not agree with or endorse myself. Archie says, who do you think is going to win the Russian election? Who do you think is going to win the Russian election? My money's on anybody who has rigged the election. Yeah, there's a lot of Russians who are saying no. And they're setting fire to those cardboard booths and pouring ink into the voting bucket or whatever it is that they've got over there. All of these people are very, very brave. And they should be congratulated. But unfortunately, that's probably not what's going to happen to them. Andy says, Nick, it's great to hear that Mark Drayford has been interviewed by the BBC and explained that the reason the waiting times in A&E in Wales are so high is purely down to the fact that most people who are waiting are drunk. So are left waiting to give them the opportunity to sober up. Oh, okay. So, right. So they are left... Okay, all right, I get it. Maybe, just before you hit send, just check to see if it makes sense in English, please. Pretty please with sugar on top. He says, we need to get confirmation from this from Jeff in Merthyr Tydfil. Well, we have already had confirmation of that, as he is the official Welsh correspondent, assuming he's not drunk in his local A&E. Well, he didn't say that he wasn't, so let's just assume that he is. Drunk in A&E. Again. Bath. Hello, John.
Hello, Nicky. I'll tell you something. If they are drunk, they probably came directly from the House of Commons voting lobby.
John, you did not just call me Nicky.
Well, I did. I'm sorry. What would you prefer?
Well, Nick, I believe, is...
Okay, I shall call you Nick.
There you go.
But I would say this. Do you know Michael Gove has actually set up this new kind of charter of what's extremism and what isn't.
No, that really would be a big news story.
Major capital letters, big news story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite terrifying. But it's quite interesting as well at the same time. I mean, by the way, could you ask your colleague to look up the character Pob?
No.
Because Pob looks exactly like Michael Gove. Anyway, honestly, ask him to do it, and we'll put it on your screen.
What is Pob?
Pob is a children's character from the 80s and 90s who blows saliva at the screen.
Oh.
And he's got a horrible plastic face. He looks exactly like Michael Gove. But anyway, ask him to have a look at it, and you'll see.
Yeah, okay.
So what I was going to say was, he's made these comments about incitement. I don't know if you've read it. Incitement, anti-Britishness, etc., etc., etc. But the donor to the Tory party has said it makes him want to hate all black women, makes him he's not racist, but it makes him want to hate all black women. She should be shot.
Yes.
Now that really is like extremism in a nutshell, isn't it?
Well, it seems extremist, but having read the new definition, apparently it isn't.
Well, they're making this stuff as they're going along.
Of course they are, yeah. Interestingly, there was a pamphlet. I mentioned this last weekend. I think I mentioned it on my Sunday show, and I just sort of threw it away. But let's examine it in detail. There was a pamphlet sent out to the army to warn them about the infiltration of those with extreme right-wing views into their ranks. It's headed Extreme Right-Wing Indicators and Warnings. Now, there's 20 of them. And they do specify that if you only hit one or two of these warnings, then not to worry, you're probably not an extremist. But I wondered what would happen if you hit a half of them. How
many do the Tories do? They probably get like a full score.
Well, if you just pause for a moment, John, then I'll fill you in. But I'll have to do it after the news because you've broken my stride and now I haven't got time to...
I do apologise, but can you please...
He's sorry now.
I am very sorry that I screwed up.
Sorry now. Look, please ask your colleague to look up Bob.
Yeah.
And you will see it's like uncanny.
Right.
Separated at birth.
Absolutely not going to do that. But thanks for the good advice. Cheers, John. All right, well, I'll come to that. Extreme right-wing indicators and warnings.
Warning, warning.
It was distributed to the army in 2019. And we'll just count how many of the 20... Now, keep in mind, if you only hit one or two of these, then it's something to be concerned about, but don't freak out and run for the exits. But if you hit a half, well, I think that's probably something to talk about. So let's just count up how many the present administration actually tick. But that's after this... Nick
Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
Well, I have investigated that whole POB issue, and he's not wrong, you know. I mean, that's the dreadful hair and the sticky out ears and the eyes that are looking in two different directions, which you think would create some sort of noise in the brain, and a mouth that looks like a cat walking away from you. But other than that, they've absolutely nothing in common at all. It's scary. I'm actually quite frightened. And this extreme right-wing indicators and warnings. Now, you might have seen this on the World Wide Web. This is an actual thing that went out to the army in 2019. They said exhibiting one or two of the indicators in no way suggests someone is an extremist. But how about half of them? Okay, here's the half that I think that the regime tick. They describe themselves as patriots. Oh, yes. Yes, they do. Over and over again. Oh, I mean, even a patriot can't stand this. Not too long. Blissfully brief. They add Istan to British place names. Yes. The prospective mayor of London, Susan Hall, added Istan to London. They describe multicultural towns as lost. Yeah, I do believe that Suella Braverman said exactly that multiculturalism had failed. They look at opponents as traitors. Well, see, everything that everybody who was a Brexiter said about Remainers. Traitors, enemies of the people. They become increasingly angry at perceived injustices or threats to their so-called national identity. Yeah, British values. They come over here and they haven't got British value, whatever that is. What's a British value? And why do we think it's superior to the values of any other country? They claim that immigration is the root of injustices against vulnerable people. For example, old age pensioners and veterans. Yeah, absolutely. They're coming over here and they're getting 5-star treatment at the Ritz Hotel and they got hot and cold running champagne. They involve colleagues in closed social media groups. Yes, they do. And then they accidentally lose their phone when an inquiry or two wishes to have a quick peek at what they've been writing to each other in secret. They refer to political correctness as some left-wing or communist plot. Yeah. The wokerati.
Okie dokie.
They make inaccurate generalizations about the left or the government. Yes, they do. Left, woke, snowflakes, etc., and so on. They actively seek out impressionable individuals to indoctrinate or recruit. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, they do. And they use blatantly untruthful or incorrect references to immigrants and others. In other words, the invasion that we've been hearing so much about. So, yeah, the Conservative Party ticks a half of the 20 warnings for extreme right-wingery that they sent out to the army. So you can't be in the army if you tick half of those, but you can be in the government. Just keep that in mind. 0345 6060 973. Devon, Rose.
Oh, hello, Nick.
Hello, Rose.
Well, oh, hello. It's about, well, it's sort of about this Hester person, but it just seems, Nick, to me that the British people are funding the Tory party via the NHS, our taxes, because our taxes go to the private companies the government has summoned to feed off the state, what's left of it, and then straight to the Tories in the form of £15 million donations. I suppose that's obvious, isn't it, really?
Well...
so we are, in fact, funding the Tories' election campaign, basically, through all these private companies, because they all then just give the money that's been paid from our taxes straight to the Tories in donations.
Well, it might not be that way around. They might get the donations and then give the donation, or they might give the donation and then get the contracts.
The contract,
yeah.
Yes, I suppose that's
but perhaps the money that comes in for with the contracts is put in a separate shoebox to the money that they then donate to the political party of their choice, and the monies are not mixed in any way. So I don't think there's anything to see there, Rose.
Well, no, it just seemed glaringly obvious in the case of this Hester man, didn't it? Because this 15 million, and he's made all this money through contracts, to the NHS, which is supposed to be a state thing, not a private thing.
Oh, well, that seems like a dim, distant memory. Was it? Was it ever a state thing and not a private thing? God, that's like going back in time, Rose. You're showing your age there.
Yeah. Can I say something else, or have you got something else to say about that? Because when you were talking about traitors, I've often thought, why on earth isn't Rees-Mogg seen as a traitor? And again, have I got this right? He, with the whole Brexit thing, he encouraged people to do it. And at the same time, he knew it was going to be bad or he was pretty certain it was going to be bad for the economy. And he bet on it being bad for the economy, and it was. And so, as expected, he won millions.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if well, it would be if it was true, yeah. But I don't know whether... I don't have in my mind that, but I know that that some individuals who were yearning for us to vote leave were at the same time betting that it would be bad for the country. And but I don't know whether Mogg is in that, because he would claim that he would claim that all of his money is in a what do you call it? What do you call it when you can't see what in a trust, a blind trust?
Oh yeah.
I'm always very curious about blind trust, because if I had 100 million... Let's just weave ourselves a story here, Rose.
Fantasy.
Yeah.
Yes,
if I had 100 million pounds and I decided the following day to go and be an MP, and then I said, well, you know what, all of my investments, I'm now going to put them into a blind trust so I don't know where they are anymore. I would have to have the memory of a goldfish not to remember where they are.
Where they are, yeah. Yeah.
So I don't really understand that concept at all, unless you would sell everything and then employ someone who doesn't know you to reinvest it in things that, well, you might not actually like. I mean, they might invest it in cow futures.
Yes, or live exports, or something hideous like that.
Or just like a giant pile of cocaine. I mean, you've got absolutely no idea what they would do with it if it's genuinely blind. But if you have already invested hundreds of millions of pounds hither, thither and yon, then I'm assuming you would remember where you put it. So the blind part is irrelevant.
Well, it is, isn't it? It's just that as you're talking about this, I mean, I did come to understand that if you give money, if you have a financial advisor sort of thing, the advisor, then they set up, you trust them, the fund managers or something they're called, you trust them to, I haven't got this sort of money, but you trust them to put it in the right places.
Yeah, can I just say?
Warning!
Don't trust them. Financial advisor, just run in the opposite direction. Yeah, don't trust them with a single solitary thing. I wouldn't trust them with washing the dog.
No, you could be right there. Yeah, I had a little inheritance once, and I did get a financial. I got a ethical.
An ethical financial advisor.
Yeah.
What does that mean? One that doesn't rip off all of your money?
Well, one that doesn't go into tobacco or ghastly things. I was particularly an animal activist, and I particularly didn't want to be investing in something like live exports. You know,
right.
Which you can't easily get away with.
No.
But they...
Kind of impossible because, everything is owned by a small handful of massive corporations. So if you like their business, one of their businesses which has a green logo with, like the sun on it, and you'll have children playing happily as part of their logo, and you invest in that company. Well, that company is also a part of the conglomeration that owns the business that makes little bombs that sit in the earth, and they don't blow up when you stand on them. They bounce into the air and then blow up for maximum effectiveness. So it'll probably be the same company. So good luck with that ethical investment.
Oh no, I didn't know that would have been ridiculous for them. No, that's cluster bombs, isn't it? You're talking about?
No, they're anti-personnel mines, and they bury them in the ground. I mean, imagine being a scientist. Imagine being someone clever enough to come up with this, and yet they do this for a living. I mean, they could have any occupation they like, being that smart, and they've decided that what they want to do is make a little bomb that when you step on it, it doesn't blow your foot off, because that's just one person, right? So that's no good. That's not using the tools at your disposal to their most effective extent. No, what it does, it bounces up into the air and then explodes, killing even more people. What kind of a person would go to work and invent that?
I know. What is in that head? It's just horrifying, isn't it? But didn't Einstein didn't he have something to do with the atom bomb? No. His discovery was used to make the atom bomb, and
I'm sure he was there or thereabouts. I mean, at least he was in that film, Oppenheimer. You see that film, Oppenheimer?
No, Einstein was in it, was he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, but not the Einstein.
Right. I see.
Someone playing him.
I've got something very interesting. Well, I thought it was very interesting. Cropped up a few weeks ago. Letters between Einstein. It was on the radio, and Freud. and they were discussing whether you could get people, because this was just during the course of these letters, both had to run away from Germany, and both of them, their books were burnt by the Nazis, so that puts you in the picture. And Einstein was saying, I'm sure that we could have, get people together internationally and form international organisations that would mean that there would never be any more war. And Freud said, I'm terribly sorry, old boy, that knowing human nature as I do, that is completely impossible.
I'm afraid, I'm afraid, Rose, that Einstein was an idiot. Who knew?
And Freud was right.
Yeah. Yes, that Freud freak was right. Yes. Yeah. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Rose.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
This is absolute tosh.
Thanks, Nige. You're the best. Ahmed says, I've always wanted to ring up your show and just swear and be rude and throw around racial slurs at everybody. If I privately donate £10 million to you, will you allow me this request? Yes, 10 million times yes. Money first, though. Ealing. Hello, Mohammed.
Evening, Nick. How you doing?
Good,
Nicky,
thanks.
How you doing, buddy? You all right?
Yes, very well. Mm-hmm.
How's the evening going? All my days. What can I say? It's getting absolutely ridiculous, Nicky, on the top of the Conservative Party.
Did you just call me Nicky?
Oh, yes, I did, Nicky.
2 in a row on the Nicky Abbott show.
Oh, wicked, isn't it? How you doing anyway? Evening.
Yes, we've been through this.
Nick,
mm-hmm.
The problem we have
is
the words that this gentleman was using was violence against a vulnerable black MP, the longest serving black MP in British politics.
Well, Mohammed, you only say that because it's true.
Oh, of course it's true. Fact. If it was any other member of the public, they would have been arrested, charged for various different criminal offences. But as it's someone who's at the top of the Tory party, and we hear in the media as well, he's donated in the recent weeks over another 5 million quid. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And what I've seen since 2019 and probably before that with the Brexit vote is most of our institutions are bordering on racism. And it's majority of the time is not coming from, people from the right wing. It's coming from people of coloured backgrounds, i.e. the former Home Secretary Suella Braverman, the current Business Secretary Temi Badenoch.
The Tory party do say, well, look how diverse we are, but they're not diverse. They're all the same. They may be of different colour, different coloured skin, but they're not of different opinions. They're all the blooming same.
They're all the same, and the sooner they get us out of this misery, the better for the country. I thought with Rishi, I think there's going to be another leadership contest in the near future.
I can't stand it.
With the Tory party.
I think they're yearning to go back to their greatest hit.
Yeah.
Churchill isn't available, so Mr. Blobby will have to do.
The men seats paid him a visit on Monday, apparently, led by Sir Graham.
Yeah, well, the best of luck with that. I mean, it's almost like they're kidding themselves that we don't have a memory.
Exactly, and as I was saying, Nick, all of our institutions are falling on racism. You've got obviously the government filled with problems in terms of what's going on currently. You've got the Metropolitan Police Service. You've got the problem at the fire brigade. There's a lot of issues with major institutions that we rely on for public service. And at the very top, if there's problems at the very top, it filters its way down, and that's why we're seeing different institutions failing across the country on those crowds.
Right. Well, they may on that issue they may be failing, but they're failing because of probably in all cases it's a lack of. It's all about the money, honey. It's a lack of money. But that's 14 years of austerity for you. How's that whole austerity thing working out?
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah. Has it replenished our coffers?
No.
All right, thanks, Mohammed. 0345 6060 973. Curious that even before COVID, they doubled the amount that we owe as a nation on the pretext of replenishing the. I've just totally lost myself. I was going to start off on a sentence, but then I thought, no, it's the opposite of that, and I should read that sentence backwards, but then I couldn't do the maths in my brain. Can you believe that?
Yes.
Yeah. Under the guise of austerity, they have defunded pretty much everything that we rely on, the intention, or the stated intention, being to replenish our coffers. But they didn't do that. They defunded everything we rely on and added 100% to the amount that this country owes. And that's before COVID. Don't let them tell you otherwise. Martin says, the current Tories are Thatcher's children. She said that the country should get back to Victorian values. They've done it. We have the poverty, no decent health care, the return of diseases that were eradicated, thousands of homeless people, rich rewarding themselves handsomely, the poor becoming poorer. Isn't it great when a plan is successful? Maybe if they were to advertise their success, they might win the next election. I could be their campaign manager. I'm sure they'd be stupid enough to employ me. Let's face it, Liz Truss got employed.
Absolutely.
Absolutely she did. Yeah, that is true. That's just a fact. Well, they have a plan.
We have a plan, or you just go back to square one. That's why it's so important.
Let's go back to square one.
Because we have a plan, we put that plan in place, where there is absolutely no plan.
No plan.
Right? We have got a plan, that plan is working. If we stick with it, we can deliver a brighter future for the country.
That sounds marvellous.
My main message is plan, no plan.
No plan. You ain't got no plan. That's the plan. Not to have a plan, just to say the word plan a lot. And then we'll imagine that he actually has a plan, because he wouldn't keep lying to us about that, would he? The mendacity is strong with...
This government will have integrity, professionalism and accountability at every level.
Every level. That sounds as believable as anything else that he's ever said. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. I haven't heard him talking about this lately.
The country's priority is to stop the votes. And at the same time, I think people know that I'm relentlessly focusing on stopping the votes. And I'm relentlessly focused on stopping the votes. That's one of my 5 priorities, stopping the votes. And I think people know that I'm working night and day to stop the votes. I firmly believe that that's what the country wants me to do. That's what the government is committed to doing.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global. Leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Oh, hello there. Very nice to meet you. Yeah! Dudes!
0345 6060 973. Julie texts, I hope you're well. Several months ago you disputed that a place called Thwing could even exist. Last Sunday, while driving through the Yorkshire Wolds, if indeed there is such a place, my wife and I came across this sign and instantly thought of you. Looking forward to another excellent show. Well, I don't know what show you're listening to. But there it is. There's a picture of a sign pointing to Thwing. You know, I bet Gavin Williamson would live in a place called Thwing. Yeah, that sounds exactly where he would live. Thwing, it's near Driffield, but, you know, any fool know that. Lucy says, I thought Brexit was touted by the likes of Neanderthal as helping us take our country back, so I wonder what's stopping him from taking his country back now. The queue at Dover? It's really bizarre how many people seem to, and they're also the same kind of person. And they're all following from the Tangerine Scream.
Oh, shut up!
Who famously had a book of Adolf Hitler speeches by his bedside, or on his bedside table. According to that Vanity Fair article that was written, before he became the President of the United States of America. And in that book, you will see that AH makes a lot of reference to that exact phrase. We must take our country back. Make Germany great again. I mean, it's not coincidence. It worked before. Now, I'm not calling any of these people Hitler. I'm just saying that, the nasty party had a lot of success with certain showmanship and certain phrases that just trip off the tongue and can be shouted back at you. Better if they're 3, maximum 4 words. Take our country back. Perfect. Make insert name of country here great again. Why change a winning formula? Jan says, Grant Shapps warns Putin, don't try it on. That makes me feel really safe. How about you? Well, at least we don't have Gavin Williamson to mention him again twice in the same show. At least we don't have him telling Vladimir Putin to shut up and go away. Or suggesting that we mount guns on tractors. Or cows, even. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
I am stunned. Mike says, Rishi's number one priority now seems to be to evade responsibility. That and trying to find a spine. I've made jellies with a stronger backbone than him. I'm sure that Diane Abbott totally endorses his integrity, professionalism and accountability achievements.
This government will have integrity at every level.
No accountability or professionalism? Just integrity, eh? 0345 6060 973. Preston, hello, Paul.
Nick, hello, good to speak to you.
Yes, Paul.
Couple of few things, well, just 2 really. So, 7 years ago, I was playing around the radio, and I happened to tune into your show, never listened before, and I thought, this man is saying the things that I'm thinking. And ever since, I've listened to every show that you've done, pretty much.
Blimey, that's scary.
I know. But, yeah, so I have. And the Sunday shows, and when you filled in for other people.
Good grief.
But, yeah. And the point of me saying that is there's something you've been saying many times over the years, and somebody did touch on it just a little bit earlier, but didn't go fully into it. And that is, you often say the Labour Party is funded by the unions who are represented by millions of people.
Not represented by. They represent millions of people. Yeah, the Labour Party tends to get its money from small amounts, millions of people. The Tories get all their money from like a handful of people whose interests are themselves.
Exactly, and this week has been probably the best example of it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's what I was just rang in to say, really.
Well, Paul, let me leave you with this piece of advice. Get yourself a voter ID. Promise me you'll do that.
I've got voter ID.
Excellent work, 100%. That man. Okay, and then use it is the second part of that.
I will be using it.
Okay, so on the edge of his seat. Can't wait to go down to the voting booth. Pull that little nylon curtain behind him. All right, thanks a lot, Paul. 0345 6060 973. So Titchy Suit Size is under renewed pressure over donations from a millionaire Tory donor who allegedly said... Allegedly. Why are they saying allegedly? Allegedly said that Diane Abbott should be shot. It's claimed that his party received not just the £10 million that we know about, but £5 million more than previously thought.
What?
Yeah. The Prime Minister has resisted calls to hand back a £10 million donation forked out by Frank Hester, a party backer who is embroiled in a racism row. Can you believe that of the Conservative Party?
Yes.
Labour and the Liberal Democrats have called on... You remember the Liberal Democrats, don't you? Oh, there used to be a thing a while ago. Mm-hmm. Labour and the Liberal Democrats have called on Mr Sunak to pay back the sum, which would take Hester's total donations in the past year to £15 million. And Tichy said, I can't give back £15 million because it's £15 million. Hester is alleged to have said, I don't know why they're dancing around. I mean, I'm reading out the Mail. I do not know why the newspapers are dancing around this. Maybe I'm missing something here. But if you apologise for saying something, doesn't that imply that you've said it? Unless he's just in the habit of apologising for random things he hasn't done. I am very, very sorry.
I am very sorry that I screwed up. Totally I mean, I am so sorry. You just don't know how sorry I am. I am sorry.
He is apologetic. He is alleged to have said that Diane Abbott, Britain's first black female MP, made him, quotes, want to hate all black women. What weird thing to say. Why would one black woman make you want to hate all black women? I mean, can you make that jump in logic? Because I can't. I mean, I could understand that Diane Abbott would make you want to hate Diane Abbott, but what's she got to do with all black women? Don't get that part. Maybe I'm missing something. And, furthermore, that Diane Abbott should be shot. Which also seems a bit extreme, doesn't it? Shot for what? An inability to complete a task of mental arithmetic. She should be shot. In comments that the Prime Minister described as racist, initially refusing to do so, though. So that was his instinct. His instinct was to back him and appear tetchily before a camera and rock backwards and forwards on his heels and try to control his fury that anybody should have the temerity to question him. Because nobody's ever done that before, the perfumed princeling, wafting about through life on his magic carpet. Made of money. That's the thing with people with lots of money. They're not used to hearing the word no. And should actually, for that very reason, be banned from a position of authority over the rest of us. But that might be a controversial opinion. I don't care. It also has the benefit of being correct. So his instinct was to back this bloke until it got too difficult a position to hold. And then Tichy went into full gaslighting mode, saying that Hester's apology should be accepted and we should move on. They keep using that phrase, don't they? I mean, I love that. When the regime tells us to move on from something embarrassing, as though they're the blooming thought police now. Oh, well, drop that straight away and we'll start thinking about something else. Got any ideas? Think about birds. Electoral Commission records only show the amount that he gave the Tories up to the end of 2023. But a news media site called Tortoise Media reported that... I've never heard of them. Who are they? Who are Tortoise Media?
Oh, they're great. They're a relatively new media company. Mm-hmm. They are specialists in investigative journalism. That's why they're called Tortoise, because they take their time to do their research. Oh. They're good. Really solid.
Do they deal in... fake news?
No, just facts. Just facts.
Facts? Oh, well, we're not interested in those on this show. You should have said right at the beginning. Facts? Electoral Commissions only showed the amount that he gave the Tories up to the end of last year, but this fact-based news site reported that he had handed over more since then.
What?
Like 10 million quid's not enough. God, he must absolutely love the Conservatives. I mean, LUV love them. Them and Hester sitting in the tree. K-I-S-S-I-N-G.
Disgusting.
Awful. Get a room. This fact-based news site then said that the Conservative Party, was sitting on the extra cash. I don't know what that means. What, using it as a cushion? Maybe that's what Titchy Suit Size uses as a chair bolster, so they can sit with the grown-ups. He just sits on some money. Mr Sunak and Communities Secretary Michael Gove...
Calm down.
...earlier suggested that Hester's comments would not be referred to the government's new extremism task force, because it's OK if you call for a Labour MP to be shot if you are a major donor to the Conservative Party.
Correct.
Mr Gove described the remarks as horrific, but said he was exercising Christian forgiveness after the entrepreneur had shown contrition. He said, calm down. Christian forgiveness. Taking a trick from Smug's book there.
My view.
Exactly. Using religion as a weapon. So we aren't Christian if we don't forgive someone calling for an elected representative of the people to be shot. It's our fault now. Cute. Meanwhile, of course, Michael Gove unveiled the government's new definition of extremism on Thursday this week. It describes an extremist as somebody who engages in, quotes, the promotion or advancement of an ideology based on violence, hatred or intolerance that aims to negate or destroy the fundamental rights and freedoms of others or undermine, overturn or replace the UK's system of liberal parliamentary democracy and democratic rights. But if they become a major donor to the Conservative Party, then please disregard all of the above. They're very strict on that last bit. It's all about the money, honey.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Right, so what are we doing?
Gibbon, we are doing a radio show, but it does remind me that I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin.
Oh, right, yeah.
It comes out twice a week now, and I'd have to say that, OK, I'm a little bit biased, but I think it's getting funnier as it goes on. The one that's out today is hilarious, and the one that we recorded today to come out on Monday is extremely funny. It made me laugh. I mean, in the 2 hours or so that I talk to Carol McGiffin every week, I laugh more in those 2 hours than at any other time in the week. And if you have an hour or so and you wish to be amused, I think it would be right up your alley. And the one that came out today, Carol McGiffin Goes to Fantasyland and hated it. If you want to take a listen, then I would recommend it. It's on Global Player, and it's called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol? The idea is that we try to solve people's dilemmas. And if you've got one, and you wish us to have a bash at it, then send it to the following address. nickandcarol@global.com. That's NICKANDCAROL @global.com. And prepare to be totally satisfied.
Oh, right, yeah.
Ask for it by name on an internet near you. What's your problem with Nick and Carol? Let's see now. Who's been waiting the longest? I'll be totally fair about this. It looks like a lucky contestant in Bedfordshire. Hello, John. Yes, John.
Hello, can you hear me there?
Yes, John.
Yeah. I'm in shock.
You're stunned?
I'm stunned by how completely incompetent the Conservative Party. I left the Tory Party 2 years ago and joined Labour, but I can't believe they're going lower and lower, lower and lower, and then to actually have someone saying not dealing properly with an attempted assassination or suggested shooting of the Abbot, and then mumbling about we're not going to return the money. It makes me wonder whether they've got any money.
Well,
they've actually spent it all.
They've spent it already.
Has actually run off with it to Barbados. Siphoned it off. The other thing I was going to say also, I was going to ask you, are there any dangers of a I've reading an article, and the predicted landslide to Labour is going to be way above that of Tony Blair. Now, because the Tories are predicted to go down to something, believe it or not, 30 to 40 seats.
Yeah, I heard it even worse than that.
Yeah, because I remember when I was a young whippersnapper. I heard of this SDP bloke on, and I remember them taking all these votes off Labour, and of course the what do you call them? A deformed party. What do they call? Oh, Reform. Not Deformed, right? Reform Party.
This isn't a listener with material, is it?
Oh no,
the Deformed Party. Yes.
Well, I don't know what it stands for, but I just saw a fantastic image of Madame Tussauds with Liz Truss posing and frozen and Tussauds, and she looked fantastic. And they put Richie Sunak next to her,
right?
And they wanted, But what's going to happen is that anyway, I'm just making the point that the really weird Tories are going to vote for the Reform Party are leaving. That's why they're going to be decimated. I don't know if you agree with that.
Good. Well, I would encourage them. I would encourage Reform to do just that, because it's about time that the right-wing party had their vote split by another, because the left wing in this country have been suffering in that regard ever since the Second World War. Ever since the Second World War, something like 2/3 of the time, we've had a right-wing Tory government, despite the fact that most of the people in this country had voted for left-wing parties or centrist parties. Over and over again, the Labour Party got their vote split by the SNPists and the Lib Dems and the Greenies, whereas the Tories, with a minority of the vote, stepped nimbly over their prostrate form and took the tape again and again and again. This country has been led by people who do not represent the majority wish of the people in this country. And it's just because the right-wingers shout loud that we think, oh, well, they're the natural party of leading. But they aren't. It's the opposite of that. It's our screwed-up system that keeps them in power for so long. And what do you mean you used to be a Tory and now you're a Labour Party member?
No. Well, I thought, you see, when I brought up, I was told by me uncles who are Tory members that that's the normal way we do things. But then I realised, then the penny drops, and then I realised, hang on, that's mad. And then I thought, this is too much. Right. And then eventually the penny dropped. And penny is what it is, Nick. The penny is dropping.
Well, that's all we got left. A penny.
Yeah. But is there, with a Labour landslide, is there a danger of Labour winning 450 seats? Do you see any danger of a mammoth landslide to Labour in terms of any accountability? Well,
I don't think it makes the slightest bit of difference. Even if you got one seat more, then you have a majority and you rule as though you had 100% of the power. We lurch from one dictatorship to the next in this country. It's not much of a democracy, not really.
True. Although I saw Keir Starmer being interviewed on the Arts just recently. I thought he was really slick and very, very, very good and plausible. And
well, now wait a minute. By slick, that's almost an insult. Slick.
No,
see, I don't see him as slick. Yeah, I think that he meant it exactly.
He meant it. No, he meant.
And it's about blooming time that somebody spoke up for the arts in this country. Yes. Which, and I don't know whether this is a fact or not, but it doesn't prevent it from being true, even if it isn't. The arts is about the second most profitable industry that we have after the banking racket. I believe that is the case. And it's certainly the reason that people come here on holiday.
Too right. Well, there you go.
All right. Well, excellent work.
My vote is with Richie, that's for sure.
But he's come over to the light. All right, thanks a lot, John. 0345 6060 973. Will texts, it's pay-as-you-go racism. Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, pay-as-you-go racism. Phil says, I just put a bet on Rootin' Tootin' Putin to win the election if I get half of a penny for every 5,000. What? I just put a bet on Putin to win the election, I get half of penny for every £5,000. Okay. Paul says, was the Lena, an Underworld Luna reference? Yes, it was. Well spotted that, man. 0345 6060 973. What an excellent album that is, and a terrific track. I could listen to it all night long. In fact, if we had it, I'd be playing it right now. Sadly, we don't. Not in our collection. Oldbury. Hello, Ranjit.
Key, how you doing, mate?
Yes, good, thanks.
You're right.
I'm super. Thanks for asking.
Good. I think it was last night on one of the news channels, young Rishi was at Gloucester Rugby Club, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
And they showed they filmed him on the wrong angle, right? He come up to the size of their belly button, these big rugby players,
Well, I would imagine so, yeah.
It looked so funny, right? It was absolutely ridiculous. What they done was then they turned the camera angle where he was in front of the camera, and then the rugby players were at the back.
Yeah.
And then if you look
about half a mile away in the distance, yeah, for scale.
And I thought that is exactly what these Tories are about. It's all about fake. It's all about being fake, yeah? This thing, you know... Like,
but when you concentrate on the size of the man, that rather ignores absolutely everything else about him that is objectionable. It's not the size. I mean, OK, making fun of him is easy because of that. But let's not forget all of the other things.
He's got that small man syndrome, hasn't he, now, right?
You're doing it again.
No, because he thinks he's in power, he can do what he wants.
He can, and he does.
He does. When I was at school, they said, look, part of getting a good job, you got to have maths O-level and English O-level, yeah?
Yeah.
Obviously, what that Hester bloke said, these guys don't understand English, and would ask him, have you got O-level English or GCSE English? Because of his sentence, if you read it, how can you twist it? And that Michael Gove, all these other guys, they've been trying to twist it. The guy is an out-and-out racist, right? Okay? And you can't say that about another human being.
Yeah, apparently not. He didn't actually mean it. He was very sorry. It just slipped out. It was a moment of indiscretion and etc. and so on.
Yeah, but then the people who are trying to defend him, aren't they just as guilty?
It doesn't do them any favours. It does not reflect well on the regime. Yeah, let's just put it like that.
Yeah. And I know a few guys who are Tory supporters, yeah? Now they're thinking, hang on, do we really want, like the fella you just had now, right? He said he used to be a Tory, yeah? And I think this is going to do more and more damage now than ever, right? And then the other thing I want to talk about, that 5p Lee Anderson, yeah? Yeah. Because each time he sell a car, right, the car goes down in value, so he started up as 30p Lee, right? Then he didn't vote, so he become 15p Lee. Now he's third hand, right? With the Reform Party, I think you should refer to him as 5p Lee now.
Like a previously used politician. He's been pre-loved for your convenience.
Pre-loved, yeah. And I'm thinking, right, how long is it going to be before he fakes a breakdown? Like, I've had enough of this. Oh, I want to cry.
I'm expecting him to apply to be a member of the Green Party at any point, because he has the same loyalty to political parties as Boris Johnson has to girlfriends.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Ranjit, got to go.
This is LBC. With Nick Abbott.
Shut up.
I can't. Shazia texts, have you heard how the Tories have had secret talks to replace 7 silly bins Sunak with Penny Stand Up and Fight Mordaunt? Another elected leader. An unelected leader, rather. Oh, well, I would encourage them to do that. I mean, we just for the giggles. It doesn't make never mind what they do at this point. They're doomed. And the exodus is gathering pace. This is the Mail reporting on this. With the Tory exodus gathering pace, Titchy suit size was left sore upset as a Defence Minister quit amid a bitter row over funding. James Heapy has informed his constituency association that he will not stand when the ballot is held, saying that he wants to prioritise his family and pursue a different career. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, who's James Heapy? Well, I'll tell you who he is. He's the 62nd Tory MP over the past week to announce that he is stepping down, including ex-PM Theresa May, who will not so much step down as sort of totter down in shoes that she can barely walk in. You can't walk in those shoes, Mrs M. Kick them off. Put on some slippers, for crying out loud. Do yourself a favour. In a letter to the chairman of the Wells and Mendip Hills Conservative Association, if indeed there is such a thing, Mr Heapy said, "A great deal has changed in my life over the past few years." Yeah, he joined a group of extremists called the Conservative Government. No! And so what did Tetchy say about this? I mean, Tishy Suicide is buying goodbye cards in bulk. And there's more leaving dues than there are hours in the day. So guess what he said, based on what you know of the mendacious, oily PM? Well, he said that the Tories are united. He actually did say that. As a stampede for the lifeboats was spinning him around like a top, he had the nerve to tell us that what we see with our own eyes is not happening.
Oh, fabulous.
He then said that the country had turned a corner after a difficult couple of years. Well, newsflash, it's been a difficult 14 years for most of us non-billionaires, but sorry to hear that you've had a tough time of it lately. What happened? Did you run out of hair oil? Did Harrods sell out of your favourite cashmere hoodie? Some cabinet ministers have been discussing what would happen if Titchy suit size was replaced before an election. Yeah, what would happen? Well, I think the country would say...
You're joking.
Yeah, they'd replace him with somebody universally popular, perhaps. And it still wouldn't make any difference. They could replace him with Bradley Bloomin' Walsh and it wouldn't make any difference at this point. They could replace Titchy suit size with Santa Claus and it wouldn't move the polling. But, of course, they want to replace Tetchy with Bodger. Of course they do. As though we poor dopes who pay for all this are going to forget what happened when he was the drear leader just, let's see now, a year and a bit ago. We can remember back that far, you know. 0345 6060 973. Let's see now. Oh, Sandbatch. Hello, John.
Is that Nicky?
No.
I couldn't help it. I was thinking it was ringing the Nicky Campbell show.
Right. No, you're not.
No, sorry about that. I was watching the Michael Gove announcements on the Parliament channel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was 2 men and a dog in there.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and the dog kept growling every time he spoke.
Yeah.
I mean, it was hopeless. And we had all this big news thingy about it all. And it was, what a waste of time.
Well,
and then,
they very rarely show up for anything other than Prime Minister's questions when they're there for 2 reasons. First, to show support for their leader. And second, because it's on TV.
And is there any extra money for it?
No. Well, only by dint of them keeping their name and face on our minds so that we might vote for them again next time round, in which case they can cash in all over again.
And they all head up to the bar?
Oh, well, I think they've been at the bar before Prime Minister's questions, and hence their behaviour during it.
Yeah. I was watching Question Time on BBC last night.
Oh, yeah.
And the audience was from Liverpool. And the audience was giving it to the Conservatives.
Well, I would think so, yes.
It was the first... No, the only Question Time I've watched for months and months where the audience had some get up and go, and they were giving it to the Conservatives big time. Absolutely big time.
Yeah, well, it's their own stupid fault for showing up for Question Time in Liverpool. What do they expect?
They were all laughing at him.
Well, that's what they like the least. A regime that wants to govern through, through the observance of law and order in their minds. Then the thing that they hate the most, any wannabe autocrat hates being laughed at.
Oh yeah, he was being laughed at big style, and everything he said was basically shouted down or talked down.
Well, I would think so. Yeah.
The SNP bloke, fair enough. He spoke the truth.
They let him get away with anything that he said, but when as soon as a Tory piped up,
oh, that was him gone. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
We don't take criminals in this town.
Well, it couldn't have happened to a nicer person, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the news, John. Cheers mate. Ta-da. 0345 6060 973. This says message on X at LBCGVG. What does that mean?
I don't know. I think that's probably just a spelling mistake.
A spelling mistake on this show? Are you kidding? What? We've made an error. It's 0345 6060 973. That's the phone number. It's also the WhatsApp number. You can WhatsApp us, baby. Same number. And text 84850. Message on Twitter. It's at LBC. I don't know what the rest of that was. At LBCVG. Very good. VG, VD, but maybe not VD. Let's hope not. Erith, Steve.
Oh, hello, Nicky.
Wash your hands after listening to this show. Go ahead.
I'm terribly sorry. I'm surprised it hasn't been mentioned about the post office. There's a couple of things where they said they was going to cut the Saturday letters out because there was not enough.
Yeah.
And now they're putting the price up of stamps to keep up with the amount of mail being sent on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think it was about 4 weeks ago, I read in a paper about if a post office gets robbed, then depending on the amount of money, the manager has to cover the cost of whatever was taken.
What, you're talking about the post office, the scandal? Is that what you're talking about, or something else entirely?
No, it's something else. It was a little snippet in the Metro newspaper about 4 weeks ago.
If I put on a ski mask and I go into a post office and threaten them with menaces and say, put all your money in a bag, then they have to make up that money.
Yes.
No.
Yeah,
no, that can't be right.
Amount. I said to your assistant that because Mike from Beverley is pretty clued up, I reckon he'd know about something that I'm saying. Because I get mixed up and muddled, but I reckon Mike would know.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's over or a certain amount, then the postmaster or whatever they're called has to cover that money.
Yeah, I seriously doubt that. Not if somebody came in and robbed them of that money. I mean, that would be unreasonable. That would put them in danger because they would then be motivated to take on a crim.
Well, that's what I thought. But I read it in the Metro newspaper, and that's why I've not heard anybody mention it or...
Right. So how much is
4 weeks ago.
How much is a first-class stamp now? Talking of robbery.
Oh, I can't remember. I only heard it the other day.
Right, it's like £1 or something. £1.10, £1.20.
It's about that.
Yeah, and people are freaking out about that. But when you think about it, would you pay somebody £1 or £2, let's say? Let's cover ourselves and say £2. Would you pay somebody £2 to take a letter from you and deliver it to the door of the person that you had addressed it to on the other side of the country? Yes,
well,
you would, wouldn't you?
I think it's pretty reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah, very reasonable. Exactly right. So when you think about it, it's not really that much. Not really. Plus, nobody ever writes letters anymore.
I do.
No, you don't, Steve. When did you last write a letter? Yes.
I'm halfway through. Actually, when my rats died.
Did you say rat?
Rats, yeah.
When your rat died?
2 of them.
Oh, well, that's highly suspicious. Like, one is, that's just, you could put that down to accidental. But 2, that seems like a plan.
We have a plan.
Do you know what's... It sounds worse when I tell you one went on the 23rd of October and his brother went on the 23rd of November.
Well, he just couldn't stand a life without his...
He actually couldn't. I could see it. He was upset.
Depressed, yeah.
Yeah. You know, they're very much like dogs.
Not really.
They come when they're called and they're... Yeah.
Rats come when they're called.
Yeah.
Okay, what were their names?
Linus and Benny.
Right. Yeah. Linus. Why Linus?
Because a friend of mine who helped me out a lot over the years asked me when I get a new pet rat one day, would I call it Linus? So I did.
Right, but was his name Linus?
No, I got them from a rescue centre. And their names were Snowy and Badger, so I changed the names.
A rat rescue centre?
No, it's a small animal rescue centre. They have, all sorts of...
Right, so of all of the animals that you could have selected, you got yourself a couple of rats?
Well, I didn't actually get them. My key worker got them.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, as kind of to keep me...
Amused, yeah.
Well, no, to give me some sort of responsibility and
give
the
you
like.
A disease, perhaps?
No, they're actually quite clean.
Are they?
Yeah, apart from they wee everywhere.
Well, yeah, who doesn't though? Thanks a lot, Steve, for that little insight into into your abode, your once perhaps odiferous abode. Thanks a lot, Steve. 0345 6060 973. Andy texts, are the ULEZ protesters who destroy property and cameras going to be considered extremists? They could be a proscribed group, or James cleverly could tell them that they have made their point. Yeah, or Ian Duncan Smith could say that actually they're freedom fighters or whatever it was that he came out with. He actually agreed with them. Ian Duncan's Sir Ian. I think I think if we're looking for extremists, they may well be right under our noses.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I really like you. Do you like me?
Yeah, sure. Why not? 0345 6060 973. New Malden. Hello, Ahmed.
Oh, hello. Greetings, Nicky. Thanks for a fantastic show once again. Yes, I just want to comment about Michael Gove. He's been going on about extremism.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he doesn't need to look very far.
No.
I mean, all his colleagues, he should be taking action against them.
Yes.
Because what they're saying is extremism.
Well, I would say so.
Denying
I would say so.
fundamental rights of others.
Other people might say so, but he wouldn't say so. He would say,
Well,
calm down. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, his colleagues, they're going to cut benefits and so on. That's negating other fundamental rights of others.
Yes.
And things like that. I mean, and all his other colleagues, they are saying all sorts of things. He should be taking action against them. He should declare them extremists.
Right, well, don't hold your breath, Ahmed.
Well, also, he's also facing legal action threats suggesting Muslim groups are extremists.
Right, well,
as well.
if it's a legal procedure, then we best not talk about it, eh?
Well...
But if he's looking for extremists, then I don't think he's going to have to look too far beyond the end of his own nose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, Rwanda probably will come under that as well. I mean, they are sending people where you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, but they're not, though.
Well,
they're not sending people, Ahmed. They're just sending money. They're sending money in order to get a good headline in tomorrow's newspaper. That's it. Hundreds of millions of pounds they're spending while telling us that they are most concerned about government waste. You could not make it up. All right, thanks, Ahmed. I want you to keep your eyes peeled at all times. Let us know if anything changes. All right. Paul says, did you see that there was a headline in The Sun this week that said that we should all lay off Kate? I can't help but think that if it had been Meghan that crudely doctored some photos, their screaming would have been audible from space. Yeah, well, they did that, didn't they? They said, aha, what about? They started with the what abouts. What about that picture of Hazard and Sparkles leaning against a tree, the pregnancy picture? They said, that tree doesn't exist. They photoshopped that tree in, they said. Well, what evidence they have for that, I have absolutely no idea. I wonder what the big deal is. I mean, what is the big deal? So, supposedly, she doctored in an image of her kids and perhaps her own face from the cover of a magazine. Sort of looked like it. Forgive me if I just don't care. I mean, just on and on and on the mail goes. I mean, and every day you think there can't possibly be any more stories to tell us about the royal family. And every day there is. I mean, look at this. This is from today. From a prison sentence and ice-cold showers to a school providing cuddly rabbits in the well-being walks where the royals were educated. Sussexes raise eyebrows with two announcements that clash with William's Diana memorial speech. Yeah, that's exactly what he had in mind. To clash with that. Prince William pays moving tribute to his mother, Princess Diana, as he hands out awards in her memory. Before Harry appears at a ceremony via video link. Prince William raises eyebrows with joke about Kate's creative skills in the wake of the Princess of Wales' Mother's Day photo shoot. William and Harry may understand their mother better now, but not enough to honour their promises. The tragic event that I believe led to Kate taking the blame for the photo editing fiasco. A quiet birthday for Meghan, and it just goes on and on and on. I mean, I'd be here for the rest of the show if I just read all the headlines that are from this week. How can anybody be that interested in that family? It is mystifying to me. Hey, wake up, sheeple. You're being brainwashed, and it is much later than you think. Let's have Huddersfield. Hello, Dave.
Oh, is that me?
It sounds like you.
Is this the Nicky Abbott show?
Maybe.
Maybe. Now then, question. Is it true that James O'Brien runs LBC because Katie Hopkins, who never lies, has said so in a video?
Well, not that I'm aware, no.
Well, he's your blood brother. You should know.
Hardly.
Second question, then, since you seem stumped by that one.
Yes.
You need to check into it, though.
I will.
Representative... You won't.
By which I mean I won't. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I thought. Second question. Representative democracy.
Mm-hmm.
You're an expert on politics and something of a radio genius.
Hardly.
That's what I thought, but I just thought I'll try. Sorry.
Go
Representative democracy.
Yes.
Is it delegate democracy? I nearly stuttered badly. Is it representative or delegate? Because Flea Anderson, who jumps around like a flea, is now represented, or whatever, 3 different parties, and yet he's the same person, surely with the same ideology.
You'd
How
think.
does he do it?
Yeah,
How does he do it?
I don't know. I mean, just I don't know what is going on in the head of that man. It's a mystery to me.
So do we vote, in a sense, for a person to represent us with their own ideas, like he did when he voted on a whim because he got sniggled at? Or do we vote for somebody who represents us because he thinks as we do?
Well, he imagines that that he is just reflecting what his constituents all think. He kept using that phrase, everybody thinks like this. I'm just talking for the majority here. And the reason that people think like that, increasingly, oh, blimey, look at the time.
I know, you did it to me again. You've only gave me seconds.
No, you did it to me. That's distracting me while I'm busy doing my business here. Can you believe that? I'm a minute late. Thanks a lot, David. See what you've done? You've ruined this show. What was I talking about? I can't remember, and there's certainly not time enough to get into it now. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Hello.
Is he crazy, or is that just the way he acts?
Just the way he acts. Elaine says, Nick and producers. Producers? I am the producer. I am the decider.
Absolutely.
Elaine says, Nick and producers, yes, at last I know who Michael Gove reminds me of. This has been bugging me for years, says Elaine. Please thank your caller profusely. Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Took me a while to find out. There it is. Thank you. Please thank your caller profusely, who was an imaginative genius and suggested Pob, the children's character. He does look just like him. It's actually quite scary. He said, I had become stuck... Sexist. Elaine said, I had become stuck on Andy Pandy, so I was on the right track. I don't think so, Elaine. I'll rest easy now, she says, with delight and grateful thanks from Elaine. And on that subject, Pat texts, further to the Pob lookalike, 30p Lee is a dead ringer for Buzz Lightyear. I think he should have a lookalike spot on every programme. No, because Buzz Lightyear was a popular character who people liked and also had heroic properties. I mean, OK, he's a bit of a goofball, right enough, so they're similar in that regard, but in no other. I don't know, Lee Anderson to me, he always looks like a sort of an angry toilet brush. Well, I mean, if somebody had tipped you upside down and used your spiky hair to scrape poop off the inside of a toilet, you'd be angry too. And Steph says, Tetchy shed his titchy pants this week. He swapped them for some skin-tight chinos. He looked like he'd been dipped in talc. Some things you just can't unsee, says Steph. Yeah, thanks a lot, Rishi Sunak. You've ruined the colour white for Steph. You see what you've done? 0345 6060 973. Edgware, hello, Billy.
Oh, hi, Nicky. Sorry, I nearly fell asleep.
Hey, Billy. You have been waiting a very long time. Apologies. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's all right. I just wanted to mention something real quick, but I think a lot of people have not mentioned. I mean, when a prime minister or a government official leaves their post, they go on to give some speeches in some shady companies, and then they get a whole lot of money for it. Mm-hmm. Someone can gain a £100 million contract, and then suddenly donates about £15 million or so to the government, which gave them the contract.
Yeah.
And it all sounds to me very familiar, because I think if this happened somewhere in, I don't know, let's say Nigeria, mm-hmm. wouldn't that be called a fantastically corrupt country?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for somebody to come out and say, wow, the UK is fantastically corrupt. I haven't heard it.
Well, I heard it a long time ago that the UK was the most corrupt country in the world. The mafia guy, he wasn't in the mafia.
Absolutely.
He was investigating the mafia. The guy that used to investigate the mafia, he said that Britain is, by value of corruption, is the most corrupt country in the world. It's because what we do is we wash the fortunes clean of the international criminal super rich.
Exactly.
That's what the City of London pretty much exists to do. And that's why it's been up to its eyeballs in Russian money right up until, and post, actually, Russia invading Ukraine. It just became embarrassing for us to be seen to be the laundromat of Russian oligarchs. Post the invasion rather than pre the invasion, they had societies set up within the Conservative Party to facilitate the incoming of that money.
Yeah, sure, but it's not just Russian money; it's also African money. A lot of these leaders in Africa, whenever they get their gotten gain from wherever they got it from, they buy houses here.
Yes, that's right.
They wash all of the money here.
It doesn't matter where the money comes from. It just matters that it's money.
Yeah, and I think this is 15 million reasons why the tourists would not call out this guy to be racist and extremist.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's a whole lot of 15 million reasons why they wouldn't.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. I mean, they could they could try to sell it to us some other way, and they have done, but I don't think they've got any takers so far, including when they told us Tetchley, which is his way. Tetchley, he told us that he has apologised and we should move on. Anytime they tell you to move on, don't move on. Thanks a lot, Billy. 0345 6060 973. Chrissy texts, the government now needs to announce new definitions for the following terms, since they seem to have lost their original meaning. Competence, honesty, integrity, accountability, and poor people.
This government will have integrity, professionalism, and accountability at every level.
Liar! Every level. Okay, let's talk about levels for a while. Well, let me briefly remind you that we do podcasts of the Friday and Saturday night show. Like that last guy, nice man, but he'd been waiting a very long time on the phone and he'd almost fallen asleep. I can understand that. So, if you are feeling sleepy and you wish to listen to the rest of this show but you can't stay up this late, then you do know that we put it out as a podcast, don't you? Yes, that's right. We put the Friday and Saturday night shows out as a podcast. The idea is that we take the news and most of the ads out, mostly. So it takes less time to listen to. You'll use less electricity. And with the money you save, you'll be able to top up the Tories' coffers because there's a slim chance it might soon be short of 10 million quid. Think about it. Money well spent, I'd say. Tooting. Hello, Jan.
Hi, it's me, isn't it? Tooting Jan.
Who?
No, you said Jan. I know there's another Jan that calls you. Yeah, hi, good evening, Nick.
Yes, Jan, from Tooting.
Yeah. I'm ringing because I'm really sort of, I'm horrified by this guy, Frank Hester, because of what I've found out is that it's horrific because he's the sole. It's solely in his company's hands. He's holding all the NHS GPs' records, and I know in the past I've tried to find my documents on it, but I didn't want to have all my health records on a database. But they said it would be anonymous. But he was given a contract of 400 million to manage the NHS.
Didn't some of this? Hang on a minute. Didn't some of this predate the Tories coming into power in 2010, or am I thinking about somebody else? Wasn't this 2009 that at least some of it was,
Oh yeah, 2010.
Right.
Those summary care records at GPs, but there was something later. I was trying to find my own file on it. I only found the earlier one in 2010. But there again, here in where is it? I've found out this. What's it called?
So you've been looking up your own files.
Yeah, my own GP, because I didn't want to have my records, personal records, on a huge database.
Why not?
they were going to use it for research. Well, I didn't want...
Jan, if you haven't done anything wrong, then you have nothing to fear.
No, but all right, what about this man then? Now, coming back to Frank Hester. He was given a contract of 400... He's like the Tory party's been his donor. He's a sole... he runs all the tech for the GPs in this country, and they want him to resign because but he owns it all. He was given a contract of 400 million.
400 million pounds, so you keep saying, yes.
In 2016, and then he's probably made...
Well, you have absolutely no idea. I think it's obviously a good idea for everybody's health records to be available online, because you might not get ill in the normal place that you would go to hospital or your GP. All right. You might be on holiday in some other part of the country, and you might go to a hospital with something that ails you, and they'll say, we don't know anything about you, who are you, and what's your problem? If your records were online, then they'd be able to look it up toot sweet.
Yeah, there's that, but there's also the other side to it, and I couldn't find my file on it, where they want to put everyone's data for medical research, but they say that your name isn't going to be there.
Right.
But this Frank Hester, he is the sole person governing all these NHS records, and he's making millions and millions. He like when he pays dividends to the company, they all go to him because he's the only person there.
Well, I don't know that that's true. Any more than
yes, it
is
is.
It? Oh, well, you should have said. Why didn't you say that right at the beginning?
Yeah, no, the Good Law Project, the person running that, has done a lot of digging around and finding out about him.
Right. Well, they say or don't say is a matter for them. I haven't seen it with my own eyeballs, so...
It's in company house records as well.
Okay.
And so it is all. It's not. This is fact. This is fact.
Well, I'm sorry, Jan, but we do not deal in facts on this show.
No, but his company, his PPP company, manages all the tech records.
Yeah,
of
you
the
keep
GPs.
saying. Yeah, like keeping it in mind like a robot.
Affirmative.
Yeah.
No, sorry, I'm just horrified that it's all in this man's hands.
Well, I'm not sure that that's entirely accurate, and I don't have the details in front of me to dispute it one way or another.
He's one of the. He owns. Look here. He manages.
I think he owns the Conservative Party.
No.
What else do you need?
Nick, he supplies the software. I'm quoting this. He supplies the software to 2,700 GP surgeries.
Right, no doubt. That doesn't mean to say that he can peek into your personal area.
But he can. He's using AI. He's very keen. He's a tech.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean to say that he can personally do it. And why would he want to?
Well, we don't know, do we? But if he's talking about shooting and hates black women or everything like this, right. I mean, all the GPs are outraged. They want him to resign.
Yeah, no doubt.
He owns it all.
Right, I'm not sure that owns it is accurate either.
The tech.
Yeah,
he runs the tech that keeps the GP surgeries going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just so horrified. And recently he got 137 million, his company during the COVID pandemic.
Yeah. Well, who didn't? Did you not get a contract for 137 million to provide a product that you had no experience of? I mean, I thought everybody else did. They were chucking money around like a drunken sailor, Jan. Did none fall on you?
It's really disappointing.
You're not angry. You're just disappointed.
No, I am angry.
Oh, and angry too.
The NHS is starved of money, and this man's getting millions.
Yeah. Well, that's the two may be connected. I'm not sure.
So he's given peanuts as a donor to the Tory party.
Oh, if only that were true.
Party's given him.
If only they did give peanuts to the Conservative Party, then they'd be bothering us much less than they are at the moment. There's no doubt about that. Maybe we should be paying them in peanuts. I mean, we've got monkeys. Why not?
Oh, it's heartbreaking when to know just all this money slushing around, being given to the wrong people. I mean, anyway,
Jan, you're gonna bust a blood vessel. You're gonna have to go to a doctor, and they'll have to add something to your file, which will then be open to malign forces who might peek into your records. So keep your nose clean, Jan. Promise me you'll do that. All right. Okay. Another satisfied customer.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I just want to tell you all how happy I am to be back in the studio, making a picture again.
It's a radio show, dear. Alicia texts. Oh no, I'll maybe read that tomorrow because it's a bit late for me now to get into that issue. So I'll deal with the MPs' pay rise. The MPs are going to get a pay rise. Have you heard about that?
What?
Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow. Sue texts, if the Tories pay back £10 million donation to the Hester man, will it be taken out of the taxpayers' money? If so, can the Tories keep it? Dan says, I always thought your weather forecasts were nonsense, but then I spent the day near Glasgow yesterday and I'm still totally saturated. You were completely correct in every respect. There you are, you see. And Peter says, I think what that horrible Tory donor said about Diane Abbott was disgusting, but it seems that if you give millions to the Tory party, you can be as racist as you like. It was truly pathetic watching cabinet ministers trying to say that it was wrong, but Mr. Hester isn't a racist. It's about time that rich individuals were banned from being able to buy influence in a political party in order to benefit themselves, unlike unions that represent the interests of ordinary working people, which is a phrase that is used by the regime a lot.
This government...
Exactly. Keeps going on about ordinary, hard-working people. And then does the opposite of that which would be in the interests of ordinary, hard-working people. He says, Diane Abbott has always stood up for ordinary people. She should be allowed back into the Labour Party, says Peter. And Rob says, another useful list when it comes to identifying Tories, I mean extremists, is, what is this? The Umberto Eco practical list for identifying fascists. It's 14 long. I'll maybe read that in a break and see how far I get. How many more of these have I got? 10 pages. Oh, my God. I'll never finish this. Everybody is into texting now, baby. They communicate with their thumbs. Do we speak with our mouths anymore?
No.
No, not really. Not really. It's very good. Eco grew up in fascist Italy in the 40s, says this message. Are you trying to educate me?
Yes.
I will not be educated. I refuse to learn my lesson. Yvonne texts, under the new definition of extremism, would Jesus qualify? After all, he was certainly a pain in the rear for the authorities. Sorry, still can't find a question mark, says Yvonne. Which probably means something to Yvonne, but I'm afraid not to me. It's right there on the keyboard, Yvonne. Right by the, right above that slash thing. Above the, to the left of the big bar that's got an arrow pointing up, whatever that's called. Just look for it on a keyboard near you. You'll find it. Trust me. Mido texts, if that is indeed your name. He says, I'm more surprised that Trump had a book on his bedside table. More surprised that Donald Trump had a book on his bedside table than that book was Adolf Hitler's speeches.
Don't be rude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't say read it. I just said it was there. Well, that's what they said in Vanity Fair, anyway. Tabitha says, please don't slander cats. They in no way resemble Michael Gove. Cats? Who said... Oh. No, I was talking about Pob, which does look a lot like Michael Gove. Now, that particular character is not familiar to me. I've never heard nor seen it before. But it's a children's character from a little while ago, apparently. And it does resemble Michael Gove in every way, shape and form. I mean, every way. And apart from the mouth part on Pob, it looks like a cat walking away.
Disgusting.
Awful. Please don't slander cats. They in no way resemble Michael Gove, says Tabitha. She's very angry about that whole cat issue. David Paul says, will there be any country left in 7 months to have a general election for? I wouldn't worry about that, Dave. The next general election has been cancelled for our convenience.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. For your convenience and safety, the forthcoming election has been cancelled. Ari says, a fine example of British values is the right to carry on using or get overly sentimental about pounds and ounces, feet and yards and other archaic measures that are difficult to add up. Measures that nearly all of the rest of the world has long abandoned. Speaks volumes about the state of our country, says Harry. It is weird. I mean, why are we so hung up on that pounds and ounces? I mean, apart from it's just this sort of desperate clinging on to some imagined past, this sort of rosy nostalgia that people have for a time that never existed, but in their imagination. And it's usually got something to do with the war. This obsession with the Second World War, when we're all starving to death and bombs were raining down from the skies. The good old days. Weird. Some people are just weird. Baz says, you have no proof of Mr. Pester swearing you don't talk about Labour and how they've funded by the union barons like Mick Lynch, spelt wrong. They're all in at... Shall I say this as it's written?
No.
All right, then. Baz texts, you, that's the letter U, have no proof of Mr. Pester swearing you don't talk about Labour and how they've funded by the union barons like Mick Lynch. They're all in it. Least Boris was funny, unlike Keith Stammer, make Britain great. I don't believe you, Baz. I think you are just winding me up. Good effort. Better luck next time. Tariq texts, I think they should play the song from Reservoir Dogs, Stuck in the Middle with You, especially the lyrics, clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you.
Rock and roll!
He used to live at the bottom of my garden, Jerry Rafferty. Fact. Well, it wasn't my garden. It was the garden of the place that I was renting at the time, but he used to live there. Never saw him, but that's what they said. He said, you know who lives in there? Jerry Rafferty. Of course, he doesn't live there no more. And Simon says, apropos of nothing that you're talking about, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago you trying Vietnamese coffee. I just wondered if you'd had a go yet. What's Vietnamese coffee when it's at home? Apart from coffee that you get in Vietnam. I didn't think that you got coffee from Vietnam. I thought you got coffee from, Starbucks. Vietnam, is that where coffee comes from? I don't think so. What's Vietnamese coffee? No idea. But the way that you said it, it appears as though it had come up as a topic on this show, which, as somebody who's actually listens to this show every now and again, then, oh my God, what's that?
It's a match-up of Bob and Michael Gove.
Wow.
It's great, isn't it?
Where did you get that from?
A listener very kindly WhatsApped it to us, so I got her to email it, because it's just too good. It's one of my favourite things I've seen.
Well, now I'm going to have to take a picture of the screen and tweet it straight away.
I'd say
because
it's even better than the mashup of you.
People will want to read it.
It's extraordinary, isn't it?
It is quite awful, actually.
Gotta love technology.
The stuff that you're able to do, eh? All right, I'll tweet out a picture of Michael Gove mashed up with this Pob character.
Sorry for interrupting, but it just felt too good to
watch. It was just way too good, yeah. Now, where was I? Ari says, a fine example of British values is the right to carry on using or get overly sentimental about pounds and ounces. I'm pretty certain that I've read that. I'm getting deja vu, baby. And Adam from Thwing texts, please don't slander the fine people of Thwing by suggesting that Sir Gavin Williamson would live here. Unfortunately, however, he does come from my hometown, Scarborough. We are very sorry, says Adam. Well, apology not accepted.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Everything is going extremely well.
You bet your life it is. So I have mastered Twitter. And I think you'll find that mashup of Pob and Michael Gove is on Twitter right now.
Major capital letters, big news story.
It certainly is. I've managed to do twitting with my phone. Can you believe that? If you look up my web tweet thing, what's it called?
A tweet.
Yeah, if you look up the attitude on him, can you believe that? This is what I have to deal with on a daily basis. I'm not complaining or anything.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Yeah, if you look at my Twitter feed, it's exactly what I was going for. Then you'll see that is just posted. It's up on the World Wide Web, baby. Have you seen the internet?
Disgusting.
James says, Vietnamese coffee is coffee with condensed milk and ice cubes. Ugh. That sounds awful. He says, I'm married to a Vietnamese and have drunk it in Nha Trang, whatever that is. Really? I would drink it in a cup. Never mind. Gary says, you're being very hard on the Tories. Do keep it up. Well, harsh but fair, I think. 0345 6060 973. Belfast. Hello, Brendan.
Oh, hello, Nicholas.
Yes, sir.
How's it going?
Not bad, mate.
Okay. I was ringing up mainly for one simple thing, and that was I wanted to declare myself an out-and-out John fan.
You're a Jan fan?
I am. And even though she's excitable and irascible and everything else, I think you know John is magnificent as well. So that's all I was ringing for, to say I'm a John fan. May you keep going yourself, and it's St. Patrick's Day coming up. And Bagara. Arr, arr, arr.
All right. Are you considering having a beverage? Oh, he's gone already.
Booze.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to happen, one way or the other. He'll force himself. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Rob text, really enjoying the show. I'm in Glasgow and now pouring down here. Is it? Well, that's a little earlier than I was expecting, or a little earlier than my app was expecting. One moment, please. I'll check for you. It's not actually raining at the moment in Glasgow, so you were lying about that. But it will be raining tomorrow, absolutely. And raining on Sunday. Now, wait a minute. They've changed the forecast since I last looked.
What?
Yeah, Monday it says it's going to be sunny. Rubbish. Raining on Tuesday, not raining on Wednesday. They really have changed it. So what's it going to be here? Just... That's not bad. It's, like 16 degrees. That's pretty good for this time of year, isn't it? What do I know? What are you asking me for? Perry says, now we know that Sunak does the family domestic chores, for example, filling the dishwasher and making the beds. I wonder whether he also puts his 7 bins out for emptying. I guess he saves money by not employing somebody to do all these tasks. The old saying, look after the pennies, comes to mind. Yeah, I don't believe a word of it. Not one single solitary word. Does the domestic chores. Anybody believe that?
No.
No, just trying to ingratiate himself into our good side. Into our, that's not quite accurate. Small, message coming in from next door, small enough to get lost in a double duvet. Well, I'd like to see him change the cover on a duvet. Hands up who would like to see that. He'd probably get lost in there for weeks. They would send out a search party. See, there you go again with the references to his size. That's not in his control. But everything he does is, let's concentrate on that, surely. And I know that I'm guilty in that regard, but I just can't help myself. You, on the other hand, are more grown up. Tracy says, still waiting for Princess Bride to come on the TV. I'm not paying to rent it. You should. It's a terrific film. It really is. Princess Bride. Now, I don't know why you would say that. apropos of nothing at all, other than I play a couple of clips from it. And I ain't going to do it now. Can't dangle me around like a puppet on a string. Princess Bride. As soon as it comes on the TV, then my advice is to sit down and watch it straight away. And you can thank me later. Chris says, I want to see Carol McGiffin replace Sir Lindsay Doyle. I'm sure she will rein all these career politicians into line. Okay, some of that made sense, yeah. How about it, Carol?
No.
It's a no from her. Rita says, have you seen they are thinking of replacing Richie with Penny Stand Up and Fight Mordaunt before the election? I would encourage them to do that because, how many seats can they actually lose? Place your bets. This is on the condition that she contracts out social policy to the right wing because they don't agree with her views. On the condition that she contracts out social policy to the right wing because they don't agree with her views, ? But that's not a question. What kind of clown show do we have here? ? That is a question. They want her as leader, but she can't actually make the decisions. Oh, well, perhaps one of them needs his sword carrying, says Rita. Yeah, I wonder who is actually making the decisions. Because it doesn't... I mean, Liz Truss wasn't making any of the decisions.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I kind of doubt that Titchy Suitsize is making any of the decisions. I'm a little bit surprised that he continues to want to do this job, aren't you? Because he's not very good at it. And he's not getting anywhere. He's failing at a job that he's not very good at. I mean, and he has no... he doesn't have the temperament for it, apart from anything else. He's too tetchy, is Titchy. He chafes at hearing the word no, at being questioned by subordinates, who I would imagine he thinks is everybody. Everybody apart from someone who has more money than even he does. And you can tell that he's annoyed because he drops that sad puppy dog look and starts to rock backwards and forwards on his heels, as though he wants to punch the person that is interviewing him, but it's probably shatter into 1,000 pieces if he did try such a thing. James texts, a poll reported in the Independent... Wow, that was quite difficult to roll together. A poll reported in the Independent showed voters see Fishy as weak, useless and a rich idiot. Wow. Now, were those options offered and they just picked them from multiple choice, or did they just pick those out of the air? Weak, useless and a rich idiot. They were also asked to state their ideal party leader. Conservative supporters picked Bodger Johnson. Of course they blooming well did. Followed by Margaret Thatcher. And Nigel Farage ahead of Titchy Suitsize. Well, they deserve everything they get. I mean, I think that this country actually deserves everything it gets. Because we keep voting for the same party that continues to do this to us. I mean, after the first 5 years of austerity, we thought, yeah, let's have more of this, we thought as a nation. And then we did it again. And although it looks unlikely at this juncture, I would not be amazed if the people that are saying now that they won't vote Conservative change their mind at the point of voting and do it anyway. They just don't want to say that they're going to do it because it's socially embarrassing at this point. Because, you know, how much more pain can you take? But the amount of times I've heard, well, it wouldn't be any better under Labour, would it? Despite the fact that it verifiably was better when the Labour Party were in power. I mean, think of anything. Go on, I double dare you. Think of a single solitary thing, anything, that is better now than it was when Labour were in power. Anything at all. I'll wait. Neil texts, I'll wager that the May council elections will be so disastrous for the Tories that wish he soon packs will be replaced. Wish he soon packs. That's actually not bad. The more I think about it, the more I like that. Wish he soon packs. From the top, I'll wager that the May council elections will be so disastrous for the Tories that Wishy Soon packs will be replaced without a damaging internal contest by Lord Call Me Dave Cameron, leading from the House of Lords. Well, he can't lead from the House of Lords, can he? He'll have to give back his lordshipness and become, an ordinary person, just like you. Well, not just like you and me, but like a non-lordy person. As ordinary as David Cameron can pull off.
I think this is nonsense.
I think that's why Dave's been parachuted in, says Neil, to take the punishment of the general election and then set up a new start with a fresh leader in opposition. A fresh leader? What, you mean like the stale old leader that we didn't like the first time around? All they can come up with is like this sort of greatest hits. And it's like the greatest hits of, I don't know, pick somebody controversial. The greatest hits of Kylie Minogue. One hit stretched over an entire album. They're still bleating on about Churchill.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
We are indeed running late. Here is a call in Newcastle, a person called Jed. Jed.
Hi, Nick. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
I'm ringing you on one of them phones that doesn't work as a phone very well.
Ah.
I've got a little story to tell you.
Okay.
I've had a very good stroke of luck tonight. I've won a sizable amount of money on one of them popular gaming apps.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I've went to take my money out and put various barriers in front of me to get the cash back, like sending the thumb of my firstborn child, various other things I've got to do.
Yes.
Now, I've been looking on their website, and these are domiciled in Gibraltar.
Huh.
And they're telling me this is all to counter money laundering, and I'm thinking, well, hold on. I think wasn't there a man who couldn't count a while back? Had a bit of a connection with Gibraltar.
Yes, I think that if they've gone to Gibraltar, it's for one of two reasons. One, they want to avoid paying tax like a normal company or individual, or two, they just really like the place.
It's sunny here.
So when you say when you won a lot of money, how many figures are we talking about?
4.
4 figures. Now, is it late 4 figures or early 4 figures?
Bang in the middle.
Bang in the middle. Well, that's not bad going there, Jed. And I do believe that by listening to this programme, you have entered into a contract, which means that...
Oh, no, how much do I owe you? Sorry, I forgot.
I am distraught to have to tell you, the bad news, Jed, is that you owe me 10% of whatever that you won while listening to this programme. You always have to read the small print.
All the time. I think I've got to go. Somebody's calling for it. I've got to go.
All right, well, talk to you later, Jed.
Have a good night. Bye.
Not forgetting about it, of course. Or probably it'd be best to reinvest the money. If you simply reinvested the money in the Conservative Party, then I do believe you could turn that medium-sized 4-figure sum into a very large 7-figure sum almost overnight. It's the best investment that money can buy. The Conservative Party. Keep that in mind. Kerry says, insult the Tories, fine. Insult Labour, fine. Insult Winston Churchill, fine. But how dare you insult Kylie Minogue like that? Hashtag Kylie4PM, says Kerry. Me and Carol McGiffin were talking about this.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I can't remember when because we're doing so many podcasts now, I can't remember when it came out. It might have been the one that came out today. We were talking about, I can't remember why Kylie Minogue came up. But it came up in conversation and I was going on and on and on about her.
Rock and roll!
But not in a good way. I just don't get Kylie Minogue. I just don't get her. I don't get anything about her. The longevity, the reverence with which she is treated, I'm mystified. You can call me Mr. Fide. Neil says, I borrowed that? Yeah, that's the Wishy Soon Packs thing. I'm going to have to write that down, because otherwise I'll forget. Wishy Soon Packs. A listener with material.
Oh, no.
I'll let it pass this one time. Jeremy says, this government is never going to end, is it? It does seem to be going on a very long time, yes. He says, just when you think it's over, they're talking about getting that Penny Mordaunt in to be the new king. I can't even watch her stand up and fight speech without throwing up from embarrassment. It's a bit like the end of Fatal Attraction when Glenn Close sits up in the bath. Well, don't tell us. Spoiler alert.
Warning, warning.
Glenn Close sits up in the bath. Now we know. Apropos of the call I had some while ago, Max texts, I had 2 rats as a kid. They were lovely pets. One got an ear infection and the other sat on it as it died. Well, that's awful. Why would you tell us that? Now I'm upset. But not very much, like a little bit. I mean, it's not like a puppy or a cat. It's a rat. Why would you have a rat as a pet? I mean, of all the other options that are available, you could have a guinea pig. That's like a rat. It's like a furry rat. I mean, same sort of size and less disgusting, although equally as smelly, I would imagine. But, there's so many other things. I mean, you could join Gavin Williamson and have, the teenagers, the teenage boys option, which is a tarantula. I still cannot believe that bloke had a tarantula in his office. I mean, what kind of numpty would do that? I mean, over the age of 13, why would you want to keep a tarantula as a pet, other than to scare and discombobulate other people? But then he's the bloke that had a picture of himself taken with a whip on his desk when he was the whip. So that's the kind of person that we're dealing with there. Telling Vladimir Putin to shut up and go away. He used to be the defence secretary. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
I cannot believe it. I mean, I just can't believe it. You couldn't make any of this stuff up, could you? Jed says, I can't believe you haven't mentioned Meghan doctoring pictures. I have. He says, it's an absolute disgrace that she's lied to the world. Oh, hang on, I've got that wrong, says Jed. That poor Kate has been embarrassed and it's all Meghan's fault. Thankfully, the papers have rightly seen through her deception and her evil ways. Seriously, though, if I acted that way towards someone, I'd be in jail. He said, yeah, well, there's a lot of people in the media who should be in jail for the amount of ire and just sort of biliousness that they've, and hatred that they've thrown at Sparkles and Hazard. But they did come up with some picture that they said that they doctored, that they'd put a tree in that did not exist. How they knew that, I don't know. Probably just making it up, just like the rest of the stuff that you read in the papers. It's like this show, not remotely interested in facts. Gary says, all those unusual UK place names are carefully listed and defined in The Meaning of Liff by Douglas Adams and John Lloyd. Do yourself a favour and track it down, or better yet, the sequel, The Deeper Meaning of Liff, which has natty pictures as well as even more place names. An example is Lindisfarne, the pleasant smell of an empty biscuit tin. Right, is it a whole book like that? If it's a whole book like that, then it's a no from me. And furthermore...
No.
I mean, full disclosure, I am a big fan of Douglas Adams, and I think The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is one of, if not the best thing that has ever been on the radio. But a whole book of things like, like a definition of a place name. Example, Lindisfarne is the pleasant smell of an empty biscuit tin. then that is it's a definite no from me. Plus, Lindisfarne does not in any way sound like the name for the pleasant smell of an empty biscuit tin. It just doesn't. I mean, that's just a fact. It's the only true fact that you'll hear on this show. Pete says, I just saw that 30p Lee video of his open-top bus tour. The grifter calling the 10 people who showed up good people and grafters. How does he know? Is it a setup like he did with his pal that one time? I mean, you know, I don't wish ill on Leanderthal, but I couldn't have been more delighted when I saw that open-top bus parade, which contained the bus and nobody else. What would happen if you threw a parade and no one came? Ask Lee Anderson. He knows. I think that the truth may be dawning on him that real life is not what you read about yourself on social media. That's what they call an echo chamber. And they call it that because you just hear what you think back at you. That's that's how evil algorithms are, or as a frequent caller of this show used to say, agorithms. They make you think that everybody thinks like you because they only give you people that think like you. And if you throw an open-top bus parade and no one comes, maybe you're not as popular as you think you are. It's something to consider. 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 Something to consider.